Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfendale and Andy Surley, and Maggie's just extolling that Godolphin is taking over the world. They won
Literally.
the two big races here, and they won the 1,000 and 2,000 guineas over in Newmarket. Newmarket,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Incredible. The two biggest races for 3-year-olds in both of arguably the top, racing nations.
I'm curious how Lake Victoria ran. I thought that she was way overrated after last year's Breeders' Cup.
She's a Juddmonte.
No, she's Aiden.
She's Aiden.
She's the horse that won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. I
I'm
think she was
watching
making
it
her
back.
debut.
Mid-pack.
We'll let Maggie
Mid-pack.
watch. We'll watch
Mid-pack.
Maggie watch the races, and we'll go through the drill of the show, and then we'll quickly talk about the Derby. Though we have 10 to talk about today, including a carryover. We have a
good
new
card.
promo. Yeah, it is an excellent card today.
Yeah.
We have a promo. I think it's Eddie 25. Is that what it is, Eddie? You going to show it, Eddie?
And you get a free date with Eddie, too.
Yeah. No, it's just. See, I'm going for the Eddie 25. So we match the 200, and you get to have dinner with Eddie. I got to think we're not doing it because Naira bets would probably go out. It would probably just crash. Because thousands and thousands, maybe millions of people would be signing up. Can we get a picture of you, Eddie, in that graphic? Maybe we could do that. We get a picture of you.
Instead of C's the
Eddie's
Gray.
our TD, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out. Match 200, we'll match for $200 your initial deposit. I don't know who that Gray is, but
It's
it's
C's
not,
the Gray.
it's not Sandman. Oh, it's C's the Gray. Okay,
I
he won the
think,
Preakness.
pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, that's a good call, Maggie.
Yeah.
You're thinking about that. Was another Gray maybe we want to have now, right? Because one of my favorite parts of the Derby is when Sandman tried to move with Sovereignty in the backstretch, and Sovereignty just left him in his dust as he was blowing by Baeza. I wondered a little bit if Flavian was kind of being a little more patient and moving at the end, and I thought he benefited from that as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know what? I think the most satisfying thing for me, Maggie, about the Derby yesterday is you walk away feeling like the best horses ran 1, 2, 3.
Could not agree with you more. I said if Sovereignty or journalism don't win, then they ran into brick walls.
Yeah,
Because I felt like they were so superior to the rest of
Sovereignty was the best closer of the deep closers, and obviously journalism was very good. And we'll look forward to those horses meeting again in the future. We'll see what happens to the Preakness. In Belmont, we have a carryover, Eddie, was like $39,250. And there is at least one, if not two, Klarvich horses in that carryover. It starts in race 5, our 10-race card. We have a 5,000 hit and split in the late pick 5. You want to opt in for that. We also have a cross-country pick 5, Tampa. We're showing some Tampa on the show today. Includes the Vagrancy and the Bogey as well. 3 at Belmont at the Big A, otherwise known as Aqueduct. And last but not least, we are on from 1 to 5:30 today on FS2, race number 1. We're going to start with a video of Tiote. This is actually, is it Tiote? I'm sure I'm pronouncing it right.
I like the way you're saying that.
Finishing 3rd in the debut. I was saying to Maggie before we got on air, and Maggie agreed with me, I wouldn't want to book like 500 or 1,000 on this horse, but I would book $200 on him at even money.
Yeah.
He may win because maybe the firsters aren't any good. Nobody here can run that well. This horse, it's just a no running in his races. He's just kind of run in place with good trips.
I agree. Now, I gave him a little bit of extra credit here, considering that I thought he was done at the top of the stretch. He kind of hung in a little bit more than what I thought he would. He just feels like he just lacks that killer instinct. Like, he just kind of runs along with his competition. To have him at even money in here, and look, maybe it's a weak field, but we do see some of the first-time starters taking money, the one on the rail you expected, and then, of course, the horse that I selected taking money, too, which I suppose is a good sign for Phil Serpy.
Yeah, and also want to congratulate Manny Franco, a big win in the Turf Classic down there, the $1 million race in Spirit St. Louis.
That's so cool with Spirit of St. Louis, the New York bred.
It's amazing. He is, right now, and it's early, the leader in the older male turf division.
As he should be.
It's sort of amazing when you think about it. It really is.
Do you think Peter Brandt's upset about selling him?
Nah, I mean, I'm sure he wishes he still had him, but Peter's a big boy. He's been around the game a long time, and I think he's probably more concerned with how Sierra Leone does going forward. And it is what it is, When you sell horses, as you know, most of the time you do it, nobody hears about it because the horses don't go anywhere. But you're going to occasionally sell one that does well. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
A couple years ago, one of my good friends lost a Kentucky Derby winner for $30,000.
Which were, oh, who?
Rich Strike.
Oh, right, but yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, my friend pinhooked and sold Materiality, who he had named. and he turned out obviously to do very well. But you can't, you know, you've also sold millions of dollars in those situations of horses that have gone on to do absolutely nothing. It's
Right.
like, you know, it's like when people say, I was the underbidder on that horse, and they
Yeah.
conveniently forget about they were the underbidder on a lot of horses that
Yeah.
did absolutely nothing on the
Yeah,
racetrack. You know, you can
exactly.
always find the ones you wish you had gotten, and you don't say, well, I was the last bidder on this stakes winner I bought. Anyway, you're going to go to the Phil Serp. There's two first-time stars. Irad, it's good
Three.
to see Irad back.
There's three. College
Correct.
Hunk
Yes,
as well.
Jenna as well.
Named
Excuse
after
me.
you, of course.
And terminal velocity, and you are taking terminal velocity.
I am taking terminal velocity, despite the fact that he does feel as though he has a little bit more turf, especially on the bottom side. I don't know, Andy. Look, I just wanted a new face in here because, and while
agree
Phil
with you.
Serpy isn't, that astounding with
He
his
can win with a first-time starter.
first time starter, a little bit more with the 2-year-olds, the juveniles.
Yeah, but-
this horse has shown, at least in the mornings, there is a bit of a gap in the works, but at least shown that there's some gas in the tank there, laying down some 48s. And the horse that projected of the first time starters to take the most money, Poppy's Ticket in here, you have to remind yourself that even though they're father and son, there's a big difference between Chris Englehart and Jeremiah Englehart. Jeremiah's the guy who can get him ready to win first time out. And looking at Chris Englehart's first time starters 3 and up on the Naira circuit, only 2 for 36.
And this horse is going to get bet simply because
Irad.
Irad is riding, and that's a little bit trickier to read. Where terminal velocity, if they're similar prices, terminal velocity is really the one taking more money. I keep thinking of that Grace Paley, those short stories, Personal Velocity. There's a movie on it, about 30 years old. It's worth renting.
Okay.
It's a lot of women power.
All right. I
Really
like
good.
that.
Really good. I think Kira Sedgwick is in it.
Oh, I love Kira Sedgwick. She was in one of my favorite rom-coms.
What?
Something to talk about.
She and Kevin Bacon used to live across the street from me years and years ago. I used to see them, but like way back. I mean, I've
Yeah.
lived there. It's now coming on 37 years that I've lived in my apartment. It's kind of scary. I'm turning into my grandmother. I'm going to bet detail-oriented one more time. I'm just going to lose money on this horse again. This horse was about as aggressively ridden forward last time as I've ever seen Jose Lezcano ride. And it turned out to just be not that I blame Jose for that, and I don't, it's just it turned out a very competitive pace that held together. Well, this horse could be the speed in here, and listen, you don't necessarily go from one day to the next and have the same racetrack, but we had a racetrack yesterday where speed was extremely good on the dirt track. That's not why I picked it because of yesterday. I'm just pointing it out. And I just, Maggie, I don't like anybody in here, and I didn't want to take a first-time starter, so I took this horse over the Englehart firster, but I don't have a strong opinion.
I get it. I just
Take
thought
a
that.
shot.
I just thought that.
He may suck.
TOT might not be naturally as fast, but I mean, what is Manny supposed to do? Isn't he supposed to be?
He's
going to
go. This horse is faster, though.
Yeah.
I think he's faster. We'll
Okay.
see. We'll see how they ride him.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't ride him the same way as yesterday. By the way, how about Deterministic yesterday?
Yeah.
Finally being aggressive with him, seeing the pay. I thought Kendrick gave him a perfect ride.
Yeah.
He was rolling out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That was something. Race number 2, Othello came out. Othello. It's the Italian version of Othello. Well, it's the opera,
Gonna
right?
say you got, you,
No, it's the Othello is the Italian opera of
and
Othello.
Shakespeare, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
of Othello,
right.
which is my favorite Shakespeare play.
I agree.
I saw Chris Walken play Iago once. I saw Simon Russell Beale, the great English actor, play Iago. That was great. Anyway, Ben Doog.
To say, was there more cowbell in it?
Simon Russell Beale is a great actor. You've probably
Christopher
seen him in
Walken.
things. What's that?
You said Christopher Walken, didn't you?
Chris Walken played him in
Yeah.
The Public. Raul Julia was Othello.
Oh,
I saw-
Andy's watching Shakespeare. I'm
Oh, that's
watching
right.
SNL.
Right, that's right. Chris Walken did the cowbell thing. I forgot that. Yes, I watch Saturday Night Live too. I know he's got a little hang in him, but man, he has been losing to better
I
horses.
love
I
him
mean,
so
obviously,
much. Yeah, we'll
you
see.
know,
No more to feed him.
yeah, obviously, if the racetrack is super tilted to speed, he could be compromised. If I was convinced that the 5 would clear the 3 in here, I might have taken Phil
Right.
Star, but I'm not sure he's going to.
I'm not sure he is either. I mean,
Even though
because
the
what
pace
the heck
projector
are they
says
doing
it.
with Repo Rocks in here if they're
You
not
gotta
going to go?
right? I agree, and I don't want to put him on top. I can't really trust him.
The only thing, and it's trivial, honestly, in such a short field, with Ben Doog, his propensity to lug in. He's drawn the outside.
He's a
so
tricky horse.
He is a very tricky horse.
Of course,
Jose
Bill Mott.
Lezcano
Is he going to be
has-
here, Bill? Is he going to come visit us after winning the
Doubtful.
Derby? Bill?
I mean,
Congrats to Bill.
Jose, yes, massive congratulations,
Yes.
Bill. Jose has ridden him successfully in the past. So, there was also this talk of changing the bit on him last time. That did not play out at Oaklawn, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see a different piece of equipment.
He's a good
along the
horse, but
I
he
love him.
finds
I
ways
do
to
love him.
lose. He's
I
also lost
agree.
to some pretty decent horses in his recent races. And you have Classic Catch second. I'm not going to put 2 closers 1-2 in this race, so I went to more horses that would be
Well,
forward.
see, I thought that Bantu could be forward in here. I think,
He's not that slow. He's not as slow as
No.
Classic Catch.
right.
We'll see what happens.
I thought there could be some heat ups.
I'm not trying to beat him. Race number 3, I like Buttercream Babe, and my friend.
She out.
Yeah, my friend Kirk scratched her. Thanks, Kirk. I'm not clever in here. I know that don't look back at all disappointed her last 2 starts, and maybe she's just past her best, but her good races are too good. Be honest with you, I didn't see past the 3 and 5 in this race. We'll show Love Appeals. I think this is her last turf race. Isn't one of these horses going to win, Maggie? I guess
Yeah,
you're
the
kind of against
only-
the 5.
No, it's not that I'm against the 5. It's that I want to use the 7. I like so. I know it's hard to argue that she could be better on the turf given her form.
Well, but they were route races, and she's a
Right.
sprinter, so I don't think your
She
position is
looks
that silly.
Like a turf horse. Like there's a lot of physical attributes that say she is a turf horse, and I think Amelia's done a fantastic job
She's
with
done a
her.
fantastic job with everything.
Yeah, I'm
She
picking
can
her
train.
as one of her. Well,
If you haven't
no, I did
noticed,
put it in
if you
last
haven't noticed
second.
her, you're just not paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to use On Command in here. And furthermore, this is a race that, despite being a turf sprint, there is an abundance of speed. And I thought that she could get out there and get pretty cozy.
No, that's you know what? It's a valid point. And, I probably should have seen that more because I don't like a lot of these horses in this race. And you're right. She's an interesting stranger. I'll put it this way. If somebody beats the Clement horses, she does feel like a real candidate because she's kind of a wise guy type horse.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's going to have to be a better turf horse than dirt horse, though. And maybe she
that's
is.
completely valid. I would wholeheartely agree with you there. And look, it's not like I'm against Don't Look Back at all. I just thought this is me thinking as more in a horseman's line that while Love Appeals has shown that she might need a start or 2 to get going, but then again, she's a little bit of a smaller type where I think she might come to hand more quickly than a big mare like Don't Look Back at all.
Yeah.
Coming off layoffs. That's
Yeah.
all.
And
That's
don't
the way
look
I
back
look
at
it.
all. There's a real question in whether how much she has left in the tank.
Right. Her last 2 were very disappointing.
They decided not to breed her, but she did not run well in her last 2 races. and
It was like
coulda
she was traveling in the autumn days, and then once Ira went to ask her, she just completely
No, she's been.
fell in a hole.
She was bad.
Yeah.
Race number 4. This is an interesting matchup, and we'll start with Noble Confessor. I am a big Noble Confessor fan, and with Zulu
you?
Kingdom winning the stake yesterday, well, I think he was best in here. I mean,
No,
I just got unlucky in this race.
And too, I'm a big Zulu Kingdom fan. Like, I love that horse. As he won the American Turf yesterday, and I don't
Even
think-
Chad said to me, I got lucky to beat him this day. I mean,
And-
Zulu Kingdom did have a little bit of a trip, but he didn't disagree with me when I said, I think you were lucky to beat this horse.
That was a heck of a ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. He did not run that badly in the Breeders' Cup
He
either.
really didn't. He was just probably a little bit overmatched, but he continued forward progress throughout the running of that race. And while he was, far back, he was only beaten 2 1/4 race.
He was never really. He never got that clean run. I mean,
No, he's kind of-
to me, it wasn't. There's some 2-length defeat in turf race where they do no running, and this
No, he
one I
ran.
thought he was running at the end. And you've got him against Uncatalyzed, who we'll take a look at, who lost to a Bill Mott horse who got a perfect trip to beat him, and I actually think is okay, and I thought came back and ran fairly well at
So-
Keeneland, ran a lower buyer figure. I'm not going to get involved in that conversation. I will say one thing. Chad Brown loved this horse before he ever ran.
I can see why.
I forgot about his race.
I
but
can see why.
loved this
Why?
horse.
I mean, the rider loses the crop. Not that that's that big of a deal, but he lost it turning for home.
The rider that I told Chad he should ride at Campa because
Your
he's the best rider
friend,
there.
Sammy Marin, your best friend, Andy.
You don't realize that's why I was joking about it so much because I had told Chad and Chad was, and I still think he is the best rider down there, but they didn't have a
Doesn't
lot of
take
success.
much.
They didn't have a lot of success together.
Doesn't take much to be the best rider at
yes.
Tampa. This horse is lovely, lovely Kingman stride. I can see totally why Chad likes him, and I just wanted the recency factor. And look, I get it. If Noble Confessor improves just a millimeter over his 2-year-old form, then Uncatalyzed is running for second. I get it, but I was going to take the recency.
It's a real
and the fact
matchup.
that-
These two horses may
Yeah.
be pretty good in here, and a horse you can see in stakes going forward. Remember years ago, I think Public Sector was a Kingman, and he won a stake, and Chad said to us, I've got a solution to how we can make money. Let's just buy Kingman.
Yeah.
He is such a good sire, and
Such a good sire.
everybody else in here is in a particularly tough race. I have
both-
Spun third,
Right, because Spun has pedigree.
ton of pedigree.
And I almost like over the other two sires, I prefer Twirling
I
Candy.
love Twirling Candy.
Especially, with debuters. And it's not a Bobby Robato move to win with the debuter, but those two,
He can win with first-time starters.
I agree. And I think, Twirling Candy is a better influence than the other ones, sires.
Twirling Candy is one of these
Twirling
really
Dawn.
underappreciated horses. He was I'm not saying they should take him to California. I was always sorry he didn't run the Met Mile. I always thought he could have won the Met Mile. He was
And just like even with this race in mind, his turf production, the amount of good turf horses that he has been able to produce on the racetrack is it's quite nice. I'll give one little mention of the 5 Ratico. I hope Gelding helps him because he has been one that wants to lay on horses. He's a little overmatched
I'm not
in this
making
spot.
any personal judgments on this, but I'm just going to say Maggie gets very excited when horses get gelded.
Especially my husband's.
I'm not. Well, if you had gelded him, you wouldn't have those nice kids. But he might have been a lot easier to handle if you had done it. It's not too late, Maggie. Now that you got the 2 kids,
Yup.
you're not slipping anything in his food, are you? Race number 5, we'll take a look at General Partner losing last time. It was a very disappointing loss. Having said that, he was coming off another long layoff. And I'll tell you something else. He is the speed in this race. I'm not going to try to beat him, but he better run well today.
Yeah, I'm going to try to beat him. That last race didn't do much for me. 24 Mamba did control in the front end, but he was sitting just as perfect type of track. And maybe you wanted to be inside. I don't know.
I don't
on that
know.
racetrack.
It didn't seem to be the case all day. I don't
Right.
think General Partner was against the track. I don't think that's why he lost. I think he just was probably short. And today he better not be short today.
I know.
Because if he doesn't run well again today, then it's clear that he's just not the horse he could have been. And listen, you are talking about a horse that missed a lot of time after
Many
the
setbacks.
Breeders' Cup,
Yep.
and then he missed a ton of time. These horses sometimes never come back. I'm going to hope he does. I also hope Drake's Passage comes back, but to be honest with you, he's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde too, and he's often a bad boy.
I agree, but he's run well off layoffs in the past. And I think a 1-turn mile is ideal. I
agree
didn't
with that.
necessarily agree with stretching him out to those longer distances.
They're
I
good
know
when he can get
won.
loose. If he can
Right.
get loose, he's fine.
Right. I think 1-turn miles are his preferred distance and trip, and I like him coming back in here.
I've
Just
got him
because he's run
second.
well
I have
too
nothing
off the
against him. I hope he runs well. I don't like the others in this race.
No, they seem a bit overmatched.
Yep. We'll take a break. That does start the pick 6, by the way. Carryover of 39,250. Eddie, you're a little slow on that. It is Sunday,
And a really good card to have that.
It
pick
is.
six in.
It is. And
So.
we'll talk more about the late pick 5 and the last 5 legs after a quick break.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Maggie and Andy. Works for me. Will show him winning the Turf Sprint Championships. You know what I don't understand is what happened to his speed 2 and 3 races back? I've always really liked this horse. I think he can
Yeah.
run on both surfaces, but he kind of lost his speed for 2 races, and then Flavien came off him, but he had shown speed for him before and run well in the dirt, and Dylan won on him. I have to think he's going to be at least somewhat forward here, though does seem to be some pace, though.
It seems like half a second makes like 6 length difference with this horse, of the opening quarter. But I, like you, have always liked him. That last race was really good. And if he can come back, and this isn't the toughest spot,
He's
obviously,
just better than these horses.
he should prove to be better.
I agree. If he runs back to his
Faster.
good races, he's
Yeah.
a better horse than these horses. It may not happen. Those are dirts.
We both have the 1 in there.
What do you do with Tom Sorson here, who I left out, who I see as 3-1 in the line? I will say if this horse runs his last race, he's going to be very tough. But I don't know how to trust him because he's never run a race nearly that good.
I will say this: he definitely needed the first start. Obviously, coming back off that extended layoff, and really, he only has 2 turf sprints prior to that, and one was
No, you're
going
right.
7/8
You're
at
right.
Kentucky Downs.
Doesn't really count. That's more like a mile.
Right, and he's a horse that
And he won his other turf
physic-
sprint at Gulfstream a
with an
long time
87.
ago. Yeah.
So if you're
Okay.
going to judge him on races that he was ready to run, the 87 and 96 are pretty good.
I should have had him in
And
there.
Then the horse that won that comeback race, Think Big, is proving to be the best of this division.
He won the race yesterday at Churchill.
at
Yeah,
Keeneland
he
and
did.
then
That's right. He
yesterday.
won.
Yeah.
He looked like he was beaten, and he came on at the end and ran the 9-horse down.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll take a look at Cigarette Boat and Final Verdict. I feel like I don't really like either one of these horses. I just feel like other horses
I
are
always
better.
get romance to take Cigarette Boat for some reason, like in the paddock. I don't know, because he's just big, burly horse, but he never runs that good.
I
And
agree.
last time out, he was kind of drifting out and all over the racetrack, and he was lucky to win that last race at Fairgrounds.
And he lost to Voltage at 1-5, the one who I think is
Exactly.
very dangerous in this
And
race.
Voltage won pretty easily, I thought. In that, even though it was 3/4 of a length, I thought Voltage, ran possibly the better race. Now, he didn't come back and run particularly well in that allowance race, but that was over a good surface. Now, we'll see how much rain.
mean,
it was
I don't-
drizzling when I walked in.
Yeah, I
which
thought it was
like-
supposed to be a quick drizzle around 11 or something,
right.
and then it was.
and
It is
then-
drizzling a little bit. Seems like it's drizzling.
The
It's just
courses
a
are so
quick,
in
but they
such
could use
good-
a little rain. This
Right.
courses, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. How
So
much?
I'm not too worried about it.
I don't know how
And
much
it
they
wasn't
get
like
out of it.
the Noah's Ark rain that they experienced that first week down there at Keeneland, which probably had to soften up the turf.
I like Alder a little bit. If you go back to his one
His
turf
one turf
sprint,
sprint's good.
I actually ran pretty well with a less than special trip in that race
Mm-hmm.
at Churchill. I actually thought that was a pretty good effort. He's obviously got to get faster than that.
Right. The
But I-
winner had a better trip, saved ground, tipped out. Alder was like 3 to 4 wide to 5 wide the entire way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Surf said he came back and improved on his figure in that race. I thought he was interesting. He's my sneaky horse in this
All right.
race. Race number
race.
7, the Vagrancy. So let's start with Leslie's Rose because she's the Grade 1 winner in the field. I know that she's obviously good, and something went wrong, and maybe what went wrong was facing Torpedo Anna 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And she was very good winning the Ashland. Todd Pletcher's numbers turning back off of layoffs and turning back in graded stakes are not good.
That's what I thought.
Graded stakes turning back, he's 2 for 23, 37-cent ROI.
I thought he would be good for some weird reason in
did
my
I.
brain, and he's not when you plug in the stats.
He did have theoretically one yesterday, though. I don't use
Yeah.
mile 1 turns to 7 furlongs for me,
No.
but mind frame
Mind
winning. That was a good race.
It was a
I
good
felt
race.
bad
It-
for my boy,
Vanishing?
Bookham Dano.
Oh, Bookham Dano, I know, the one to make the first move.
Yeah, he was
tried
probably a little
so
closer to
hard.
pace than helped out. He
Yeah,
ran really, really well in there. They all did. I look forward to them running in the Met
Yeah.
Mile. It's just this horse is just not my cup of tea, but she is pretty good.
I agree with you. I just didn't know what to make of her. And that's why when I looked at those stats, I was like, I can't really, feel great about using her in this spot. And while, she won her debut going 6.5 quite easily, and that's I think kind of what Todd thought about Mindframe. His best race was his debut going 7/8 from a speed figure standpoint. Maybe that's what he's thinking here with Leslie's Rose, but
I think he
don't
was
know.
also at that point, he was mapping out what to do with Fierceness and
Sure.
Locked and him.
Yeah, they
and
did meet each other.
Fierceness was going to run, obviously, in the race today. We had a better race because he's not running. So, frankly, they did us a favor by running him, and he won,
And
and Locke
honestly,
ran badly.
in hindsight, it looks like they made the right
Yeah,
choice.
well, Mike made the right choice in that case because Todd really
Yeah.
didn't want to run. And listen, I get it.
Yeah.
And Locke just didn't run well, but I think he was keeping them apart. And listen, Mindframe's a good horse. I was glad to see him finally get a win. He's a horse that's run well enough to win. So we'll look at Hall and Ice.
V almost
beating
gone rocket.
Beating Almost Gone Rocket. I don't know if Almost Gone Rocket can run it anymore. She obviously didn't run that well here when second, but I'm going to hope she needed a race off the layoff, and I want to see Hall and Ice do it again.
Yeah, I know. I just thought that Hall and Ice was just so foreseeably loose in here. Again,
You don't think the one has to go? Doesn't
I
Jose
see-
have to go from the rail? That horse is pretty quick.
she is quick. She is quick, and that the horse she was chasing last time was completely running off, and she was beaten by a horse I highly respect in Nick's style. So yeah, I
I mean,
do
it is
get
two
it.
Savvy Joseph horses, so he probably lets that one go and sets up shop outside
That's
of
what I
her.
thought, yeah. And I do think, to be fair to Almost Gone
tries to.
Rocket, she probably needed that start. She is a big, heavy filly, and furthermore, I know she ran quite well on a sloppy racetrack. I wonder if she didn't totally love the surface last time out.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get her back on track and get her to win. I'm not overly confident. I thought this was a tricky race. We'll see.
I got to
what
give
happens.
love to St. Benedict's Prep, and she
She is
just
a cool
shows up
horse.
and runs.
Yeah.
Week after week.
She is.
I thought her effort behind Irish Maxima, heavy favorite who had everything her own way, was pretty good last time.
I agree. I thought she adapted to circumstances.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the 6 another chance. I liked her last time, and she wasn't good. I'm not going to defend her, but I just thought that she's run better in the past. It was it was off a little bit of a freshening. I don't know. I don't love her.
Riding
I
the
had a
Derby
lot. To be
magic.
honest with you, I don't have a strong opinion in this race. I found this race tough. I'm going to try to beat Hall and Ice. I kind of want to see it again, but we'll see. If it rains a little bit, perhaps that could change things, but we'll see what happens. Race number 8, the Bogey. This is a good one. It's a really good
Yes.
race and a prep, I guess, for either the Just a Game or the New York. I think that She Feels Pretty is probably heading to the New York. She looked good winning back. She's good. We'll see. So
She did.
I want to show the Lake Placid where you have all 3 Chad Brown horses coming out of here. You've picked Grayosh. I think dynamic pricing is if
I
the races run
honestly
fairly.
couldn't decide.
I think she's a cinch in here, personally. In my
I
opinion,
had her on top. Then it went back to Grayosh. Honestly, because she was against the racetrack. Too,
she's
in
been
that
against the
Winters and
racetrack
Memories.
2 straight
Yeah.
times. She was wide against a gold rail in this
Yeah.
race. She was wide against a gold rail on September 13th. These turf courses have been playing, in my opinion, extremely fairly, even when we were down to 0 at the beginning of the meet. And I just think she's getting on a fair turf course, and she's better. And I thought both Grayosh and Spaladay both came up the fence and benefited from it.
But I think Grayosh gets to be closer, hopefully, for her benefit, and she gets to be on the fence again. So I just thought, from a dynamic standpoint, Grayosh, I don't
She
have
doesn't
too
have that much speed, though. You think she's going to be closer? I think it was pretty close between the two of them.
I think she should lay closer in her best interest if she wants to run well here. I think she does run better when she's closer. Granted, pace is obviously a big factor in that, and how fast the speed type horses go.
Well, let's
including
talk.
Edict and
Can we show the third replay, Eddie? The one with
Who's
Nomo Candy, since Maggie's
Nomo
talking
Candy.
about pace.
Thank you.
It'll be interesting because Edict's going to go.
She has to go
Rake
with
was,
Princess Anne.
Wakia, whatever her name is supposed to go in here.
Right.
Nomo
Nomo
Candy. The thing about Nomo Candy in this win is I have a theory. Obviously, beating Oversubscribed, who's a very nice filly, is a good accomplishment. But see, I think that she got extraordinarily lucky in this race because what happened was the runoff, the speed, that weird Dutro horse that's a speed.
Yeah,
she
she's
kind of
crazy.
ran off.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, she didn't run off. They kind of rated her, and the pace was very
yeah.
moderate. And as a result of that, she was sort of stalking the pace of a horse that just wasn't running well anymore. And she kind of found herself controlling, and it gave her an advantage and oversubscribed. I think with the presence of the horse inside of her, as well as Edict, I just don't see her being in such a comfortable position in here. But
No.
listen, she ran twice in the turf, and she ran well in both of them, so maybe I'm underrating her.
I just don't know how her job gets any easier because when you look at Rakia's last race, she was so unhappy being
They
rated.
just have to go with her. Whether
Yeah.
she's going to win or not, they need to go with her.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then, I mean, the writing's on the wall, right, for Edict, who I thought was, quite aggressive in her, demeanor in those races. And now they're putting blinkers on. So,
They've got to be going with her. You've got to think they're looking to go.
yeah,
We'll see. What about Heredia? I've got her second here. I'm scared of her.
I'm scared of her too because
Take-
she's obviously faced some of the best, that they had in England.
It's a race 2 back that she won.
And after that, she faced Inspiral, who came and won the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. The only thing I'll say is that while Graham, looking at his foreign shippers on the turf off of 6-month plus layoffs, he's 5 for 20.
This one's 19 months. That's the problem.
Correct.
That's the problem.
So she needs a race.
Right.
I mean, that's what Graham said in
Did he-
a lot of the write-ups. It says she was sent to him right after the third place finish, worked a few times, came up with a soft tissue injury, was getting ready down in Florida, entered an allowance race, and it didn't go. So they're just, he's kind of looking to get her started here.
She's also a horse that took a little while to find her best self and finally found it, and now she has a long layoff. But she's got some quality. She feels like a horse we're going to hear from at some point, whether
Yep.
it's here or not.
Yep.
She could be okay, and Graham is really good with the Europeans he
Really
gets.
good.
But the layoff, obviously, a big concern.
Yeah.
Race came up as a very, very good one, race 9. I'm going to thank them again for not running Fierceness. I was hoping to see Fierceness here. I thought this came up a really, really fun race, and I
Tough
don't think we
race.
would have had this kind of race if
Tough
we
race to
ran. So they
handicap.
ended up doing us a favor by running
Yeah.
by not running here. This is a fun race, and I'll start with Bank Frenzy and Worcester. I've decided to give Worcester one more chance.
Worcester.
I thought Sheldon gave Worcester way too much to do in a race that didn't have that much of a pace in the stymie. And I feel like today's pace is going to be much stronger in there. I want to give him one chance. He's going to be a decent price, and I'm going to give him one chance. I thought he ran pretty well in here.
I agree with you. I don't have a problem with him at all. He ran quite fast against, lesser in his last race in the Frank Whiteley at
Frank
Laurel.
Whiteley was very good. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And so maybe that's what he needed to do.
His stablemate came back and won, right? Yes, was it yesterday? The horse we like, the one that ran post time.
Oh, post time. Yes,
Yes.
of course. Uh-huh.
I'm going to give him another chance. I don't like Bank Frenzy in here. Sorry, Randy. I just think the competition got astronomically tougher for him, and I'm not sure how much better than Worcester he really ran this time.
He's just so consistent,
He is.
though.
He is. I agree.
I mean,
I've got him
he
fourth.
just
I don't think he's
shows
impossible.
Up every time. I can't, get past a horse that is able to do that. Look, you have him fourth. We have him third. I have him third. I respect him. I don't know what to do with Bishop's Bay. He
Well,
was the conundrum for
Want
me.
to go to that replay, Eddie, since it's third, but we'll go to that replay.
Sorry.
I'm not a big fan of his. I know he beat Ben Doog.
And yet he finds ways to win.
He does.
You know?
And it's Brad, and he's got Flavien
Right?
Pratt riding.
I'm not his biggest fan either. I do like him getting to a one-turn mile.
I love the one-turn switch for him. I agree. And he
I
should be
think-
sitting a good trip behind the speeds.
And look, he's getting out here. Then again, Ben Doog is like, "Yay, the rail, thanks." But he lasts. He finds a way to win.
I also am a little reticent taking a horse that's run 3 hard races at Oaklawn. Oaklawn's a tough track.
I feel you. But
That's
he did
that
have
was
break.
a little bit of my, but that's.
But then he went back down to fairgrounds to train.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
I mean,
it's different. I would
He
agree
can
with
win.
you if he had been training there. And Oaklawn is a unforgiving surface to be on.
that's
all
why Brad
winter
trains
long.
at Fairgrounds. He does not want to spend his winter training there. It's clearly
the good horses.
clearly a plan by Brad.
Yeah.
Yes. No question about it.
Horses come out of the fairgrounds quite well.
The 1 can win, the 2 can win, the 5 can win, the 6 can win, the 7 can win. Talk about Tumbarumba before we talk about Quince Brew.
Tumbarumba, I mean, on his best days,
He's the horse to beat.
Is better
But
than these horses.
I worry his best days are not recently.
the fact that rain's coming in also gives me a little bit of a hesitation. Look, they took the blinkers off last time, and he didn't run very well at all in that Fred Hooper. Now he's coming back off a bit of a freshening here. And two, he's a tactical horse that isn't going to get necessarily outpaced. There's other pace in here. He has shown he can win.
Doesn't
sitting
like
off
to
of
win
it.
anymore, though. Boy, does he like to run second.
He does. I hear you.
He was
I
the
wanna
one
give
I
him a shot.
decided
He's
against.
just-
He might win.
yeah.
5-1's a very fair price on him.
Quince Brew is the one that I just thought his job got tough here.
Well, he's going to have to deal with Tumbarumba.
Right.
But I thought he ran extremely well in this race. I know he lost to the horse of the moment, Eddie. That was a cue. Crazy Mason. I thought he ran the best race because this race kind of came apart in the late stages. And Crazy Mason's a cool horse. I thought this horse ran super in this race.
Did it come apart though?
A little bit.
Crazy Mason just always bucks the trend.
I agree, but I think the other speeds were falling apart. The horses that were closer up early.
I suppose. Yeah.
And I thought he ran very, very well. He does draw well on the outside, but he's going to have to stalk effectively Tumbarumba, put him away, and hold off any closers. I was going to put him on top. I decided a better price. I have a little bit of a thing for Worcester. I was going to put him second, and I thought he's going to be a decent price. I'll put him on top in here.
All right.
This is a fun
I
race.
don't not like Worcester. I know he's not in my top four, but I mean, looking at him physically in the paddock for that stymie, I was blown away.
Even how great is Nate? I mean, he's run decent races. He's got to improve to win here. And Yo Daddy's also run some fast races. This is a good running of the Westchester.
It is.
And it wouldn't have happened if Fierceness was running. We'd be excited to see Fierceness.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have happened. Race number 10. Train the Trainer is probably going to win this race at a crazy
I'm
short
I'm
price.
actually, I could just see us sitting up here and you being like, well, Mag, I'm not being creative here. But you are, so well done.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about the 8. I think this horse is probably going to win. And he's going to be a horse that's going to be very heavily leaned on the pick 6.
I mean, the horse that beats him here is this heavily favored Bob Baffert horse who gets this pace to close into, and he ran the best of. Well, I don't know if he got a pace to close into. He was just heavily favored.
Well, he's the horse
and
that won the
better.
3rd race yesterday that the morning line
Right.
maker made the 4-1
Totally blew.
second choice that
Yeah.
paid 6-5. That
Yeah.
exactly one person in America didn't know he'd be around even money, and that was the morning line maker, the same person who made Kopi an 8-1. Churchill Downs needs a morning line maker for Kentucky Derby Day that follows horse racing because I think it's a disgrace. And frankly, I think it was really kind of an indication of somebody who thinks isn't paying any attention to California racing. And
I
it was a
agree.
big weekend for California.
Yeah.
Their horses reminded people of how good their racing can be out there.
I know.
And how good
It's
their
just
horses are.
It's just a shame because there aren't many
There aren't enough of them.
horses out
Enough
there.
horses out there,
Yeah.
but with not enough horses out there, they had some pretty damn good ones that ran the Derby Day
They
card,
have-
including in the Derby.
And I think they have tremendous trainers out there.
Kopi ran a 109 buyer. She ran
She
10
was
buyer points faster
really
than Mindframe did.
good.
I mean, I think
She's
Ways and Means may have run the best
good.
race she ever ran, and that horse just dusted her.
I know.
She's a serious
Considering
horse.
like her training got interrupted and looked weird because she worked like Monday in California and then shipped out. And
Well, Mandela, he's an old school
He's old
guy.
school.
and-
He blows me-
yeah.
yeah,
And
I
seemed to
wasn't
work
worried
fine.
about it.
Didn't Barkley Tag ship Funny Side for the Derby about 20 minutes before the race? Right?
he was crazy. I
Cabin?
mean, I get it why he did it
Well,
too. Yeah.
Not a bad trainer. This horse will probably win. I don't have a big problem with him. I'm not against him. He's the right horse. I think the 8 America's Back is going to get a little ignored because they're going to go with second choice. This horse had significant trouble. I mean, doesn't
that's a rough
break,
break.
and just completely and totally stays out of the race and makes a serious run up towards
He
the leader.
wants to run off here, and
Right.
Jose is like, "No, we can't. We can't
Well, he's in
because
traffic,
we're going
and he's-
to clip heels and go down here." So Jose, sits against him, gets him outside, and honestly, the horses that ran 1, 2, 3 are the ones you see on your screen right now. So he was against it from the get-go.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know. He's probably not good enough to beat the favorite, but he's a lot better than he showed in this race. I didn't think he ran badly in the race behind Vakinda. So
I gotta
I'll
give.
him a
I
shot.
mean, I giving a lot of love here to Amelia Green, but it's just these first off the trainer switches with her. They have been running very well.
I wish this horse had a little more ability. I got him 3rd for the exact same reasons. I've got the 3 Iron Max for the exact same reason. He's getting Flavian Pratt. I
I'd
agree.
hoped
He's a
that-
stranger. This is a tough spot, though. It's a
right.
tough spot for a wise guy.
Exactly. With the 5 and the 8 in here, it's a tough spot. But I always thought that shorter was better for him, and I like the fact that she does that.
I have no problem with it. I just am afraid that this might be a tough race. But I agree, that horse would be absolutely a C for me in any plays that I made. We don't have much time. Somebody, you and I were talking about this off camera. A lot of people keep talking about Sovereignty clipped heels. He didn't.
I didn't see it.
If he did, it happened. It was like the Ali punch, where he says it was so fast you didn't see it. He clipped heels so quickly that you had to have this like Superman vision or something to see it.
Yeah.
A lot of lies about this Derby. I thought the winner and I thought the first two horses, I thought they all got, considering what a mess it was in that size field, and even Citizen Bull coming out at the start, I understand he did come out. Final Gambit a little bothered, but he was going to be way back there anyway.
Right.
And he got to Baeza's flank in mid-stretch, and Baeza just ran away from him.
Yeah.
I thought it was the right horses ran 1, 2, 3, and I thought they all got. I thought Rispoli. People were saying, "Oh, I'm worried about betting Berto Rispoli." I thought he gave him a sensational ride.
Yeah.
I mean, got the rail in the first turn. I mean,
He did.
Little trouble early, but I think he also
Yeah.
wanted to take him out of there. I don't think that he was steady as much. I think that Umberto he didn't want to be in the position where, what's his name was, Chunk of Gold.
Yeah.
He wanted to get behind him.
Yeah. And I just worried about it with a horse that hadn't ever experienced anything like that. And I think that showed a little bit with, a wet track and, 3 times, 4 times as many horses as what he's ever faced in his entire life. And I think that we were talking about on the call, and I think that's what I wanted to kind of demonstrate,
That's
that
fair.
he did react a bit to it, just the horse himself.
But I also think that an argument can be made that his running style wasn't quite as good in result as Sovereignty's.
Yeah.
Because
it
the race
played out.
really fell apart. It did melt
Right.
down a little bit.
And how about a little love to Owen Almighty?
Owen Almighty, who I considered a joke. I couldn't have
Me
been more
too.
wrong about it. I don't know where you go with him from here.
You
'Cause I
gotta
still
cut
don't
him
believe he's
back.
winning these races going long against these horses.
You gotta
but
cut him back.
He ran huge. Now, was the wet track? He ran great to
He
be
ran
fifth
great.
in there. He ran so much better than most of them. We do have to go. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code Match 200 will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have a pick 6 carryover, $39,250. We have a $5,000 hit and split on the late pick 5 today. Opt in for that over at Naira Bets. We have a cross country pick 5, 2 at Tampa, 3 here, and we have the show from 1 to 5:30.
FS2.
Yes. There was like a rain delay or something in Boston. They showed at the Fenway, they showed the Derby on the big screen.
Oh, cool.
Feels like Alex Bregman wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you, Alex. All right, we're done. Chris Griffin's just getting started. He has reprised the scratches and changes. Have a great day.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more.